Hello everyone, this is Sawyer Studios, and today I am doing another Star Wars video. Today's Star Wars video is my top 5 Star Wars movies, and I'm going to explain why. But first, let me start with number 5 on the list, and number 5 is Rogue One. Rogue One, for the longest time, was probably my absolute favorite Star Wars movie. It has gone down a little bit throughout the years, but let me explain why it still remains in my top 5 list. First of all, this is the very first anthology movie we had ever gotten in Star Wars, and it was really cool to not see something that was specifically about the Skywalker family saga. And so we got this movie, and we have all this fan service in it, which, for me personally, I like fan service. You know, it's great. And so we have these really cool characters that we only unfortunately get to meet for one movie. But you know, a lot of movies are like that, where you are introduced to characters and then you're never introduced to them again, whether or not that's because they die or because there's just not a sequel. By the way, I should probably mention that there are spoilers in this video. I'm assuming you've all watched the Star Wars movies. If you haven't, please watch them. I have a friend who has seen all the Star Wars movies but Episode 5. Let's just say that he's shunned. Anyway, Rogue One had really cool new ships. You got to see a really awesome space battle at the end. The story was pretty well paced, I would say. Got to see some really cool characters, new stormtroopers, new Imperial troopers such as Death Troopers, Shore Troopers, stuff like that. We got to meet a lovely Imperial Protocol droid called K2SO, who just added so much greatness to the film. And then we had awesome characters, and just shouting it out there, first ever Asian character, like main character in Star Wars. So that was cool to see Chirrut Îmwe. Love Donnie Yen. I'm gonna put a link up to that Minifig Monday where I talked about Donnie Yen and Chirrut Îmwe right there. Alright, so anyway, Rogue One, great film. I loved everything about the last 30 minutes of the movie. It was just a really fast-paced battle to see how they got the Death Star plans. I really thought it brought a lot of things together, and it also at the same time closed some loopholes, like why did this weakness in the Death Star exist? Turns out that Galen Erso did it on purpose because backstory. So it just really helped connect a couple of the dots, and it really showed some really new ships in new ways. Also, we got to see a Hammerhead crash Imperial Star Destroyer into another ISD, so that was pretty darn awesome. And then we got that beautiful Darth Vader scene at the end. It's just, a lot of that movie is great. The week it came out, I watched it at least 10 times. That's not even a joke. Like, I legitimately watched it like 10 times. Number 4 on my list is The Rise of Skywalker. Yes, I know you probably have heard me harp about the sequel trilogy. And yeah, I don't like the sequel trilogy a lot. I think a lot of the acting was bad. Not that every actor and actress did a bad job. Some of it was on the story and the screenwriters, Rian Johnson. Anyway, but I did enjoy Rise of Skywalker, and I watched it several times when it came out. I loved how J.J. Abrams really brought it together. He really fixed a lot of The Last Jedi and really tried to put it back on track. It felt like a Star Wars movie. The Last Jedi didn't feel like a Star Wars movie. This one felt like a Star Wars movie. And I'm happy to say, I think it ended well. We got some really awesome lightsaber battles. We got some really heart-wrenching moments that really had me on the edge of my seat. And it was pretty cool. There was a lot of stuff that I could go into details about how they didn't make much sense, but sometimes you just gotta enjoy a Star Wars movie because it's a Star Wars movie. So I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I would personally watch this above Rogue One and the other Star Wars movies that are not going to be on this list. Number 3 on this list is The Last Jedi. I'm joking. I would, if I ever said that, please send me to a mental institution because I am not okay. The third movie on my list, surprisingly, is the other anthology film that they came out with, which is Solo. I know, a lot of people didn't like Solo. I'm not one of those people. I really loved seeing Han Solo in his prime, and I loved this love story with him and Qi'ra. I don't know about you, I personally like Qi'ra more than Princess Leia. It's okay. Anyway, another link up there. Check out my video on explaining why. Solo. It was a great movie, lots of fan service once again. We got to see, once again, new cool ships, new troopers, a whole new storyline, Crimson Dawn, Darth Maul at the end. Disney, I don't know what you're thinking about canceling the rest of the movies, because Solo was supposed to be a trilogy of movies. You left us with a pretty big cliffhanger, and now we're just sitting here with our hands in our pants, not knowing what the heck we're doing. And I'm like, just come out with the other movies. Like, I think it was really cool to see how Han and Lando got to meet. By the way, the guy that they got to play Lando, that was really cool. He literally sounded just like the original Lando Calrissian. It was so perfect. And just the storyline, how he met Chewie, the World War II like trench warfare that we got to see for a couple minutes in there at the beginning of the movie. That's what Rogue One was supposed to show. But this was like, wow. Like, that was a battle. Like, that was intense, and that was chaotic, and I loved how they filmed that, and the cinematography. A lot of the stuff in Solo was just, it wasn't just a great Star Wars movie. I would argue that it was a great movie in general. Like, I think people who don't even like Star Wars would enjoy it. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't, but I thought it was a great story, and I enjoyed it very much. Number 2 on my list is an original trilogy movie, and it's The Empire Strikes Back. Yes, it's not number 1. I'm sure you're surprised. Empire Strikes Back is just a classic. It's, you know, the "No, I am your father" line, which, by the way, yes, the quote is "No, I'm your father." It is not "Luke, I'm your father." Anyway, it starts off with the Battle of Hoth. We finally get to see Han and Leia, you know, come together in this romantic relationship. Luke is going out. We meet Yoda, who's this kooky, crazy old Jedi, and I love that. And then we get to go to Cloud City, and then the plot really picks up, and we have bounty hunters, and then Darth Vader, and we put Han Solo in carbonite, and then they, you know, the "I love you" and "I know" scene, and then Luke finally fights Darth Vader at last, and then we get this huge revelation, and we're at the movie, and we're just left with a cliffhanger. And one of the reasons why I love all of these movies, actually I probably should have mentioned this before, but all 4 of these movies I've already mentioned have phenomenal soundtracks. Rise of Skywalker soundtrack, the farewell track from that John Williams composed, absolutely beautiful. I could go into that so much. Just the fact how he warped Kylo Ren's theme to something of hope and yearning, and it's just so beautiful. And then The Empire Strikes Back, John Williams, like, this is like one of his prime movies. I love it. And then we had Michael Giacchino in Rogue One. He did a really good job. He definitely took Star Wars motifs, but he made it his own. Sure, there wasn't a lot of brass like John Williams, but there was a lot of strings and stuff, and he really morphed it into his own caring. Then we have the Solo soundtrack, which was also pretty darn good music, and I love it when composers take the Star Wars motifs and just play with them, and it's like, it's a whole new feel. So the music has a lot to play into all this as well. Before I get into my first favorite Star Wars movie, let me do an honorable mention. At number 6, we have, in fact, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is a great movie, and I love it. It has Ewan McGregor. It has amazing meme content. Like, that's such a quotable movie. The reason why it's not in my top 5, though, is because I will watch episode 3. It's good. It does get you in the feels at times, but I mainly watch it for, like, the meme content. And, like, it's really good for a group of friends. I didn't think that I would choose to watch Revenge of the Sith over these 5 movies. Like, these 5 movies I probably would. Now, that being said, Revenge of the Sith has been around for longer than Rogue One, Solo, and Rise of Skywalker. So maybe after I've watched those 3 movies a couple of times, maybe they'll go down in the list, and I'll be like, alright, I'd choose Revenge of the Sith over these movies. I think one of the reasons why they're really high on my list is because they're fresh in my mind. I haven't seen them as much as the other movies, so that's that. Coming at number 1 on my list of my favorite Star Wars movies is, in fact, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi has always been my favorite for several reasons. This is like the end of the trilogy. This is the end of the story. It's about redemption, and there's love, and there's drama and tragedy, and this it's just great. We start off with finding Han Solo and being able to save him, and Luke Skywalker comes back and he's OP now, and we get to see the Rebel fleet. He goes back to Yoda. Yoda dies, tells him what he has to do, and then we have this massive Rebel fleet. This is the biggest space battle we've ever seen. We haven't even really seen a space battle. Like, we saw the Battle of Yavin 4, but that was between some fighters and like the Death Star. Now we have ISDs and a Super Star Destroyer and all these TIE fighters, and then we have Home 1 and Mon Cala cruisers, MC-80s and MC-40s, and we have Nebulon Bs and Krellian Corvettes and B-Wings and A-Wings and Y-Wings and X-Wings, and so it's like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. And so then we have the cool little scene on the Endor moon. I know that a lot of people don't like the Ewoks. I'm fine with the Ewoks. I loved the Ewoks when I was a kid. I grew up with them, and it was great for me, and I still find joy in watching the Ewoks, even today. And so we have the Battle of Endor, and then all the Ewoks come out and fight against the Empire, and that is, like, such a hilarious scene to me. I love it. And then we have the whole find out that Luke is Leia's brother. Leia is Luke's sister, and how she also can use the Force. And then Luke must go, and we finally get to see the Emperor in human, like in the flesh. And then we have the epic duel between Luke and Darth Vader, and there's like so much tension in there. Then we see Force Lightning for the first time, like, oh my gosh, we've gotten to the boss, and he's not like a weak boss. Like, he can shoot lightning from his fingertips. That's pretty lit. And then, we have Darth Vader finally bringing balance to the Force, and we get to see Darth Vader's head. And honestly, if I could forget that entire movie and rewatch it, it'd just be really epic. It would be so epic. I think that we forget a lot about these original trilogy movies because they didn't have as much special effects or the same amount of cinematography and stuff as these movies nowadays. And I think that movies nowadays sometimes use cinematography and CGI as a crux to make their movies good. Return of the Jedi it's a solid story. It's a solid story. Ender, the character development is amazing, and you don't need the special effects. You don't need the cinematography, the CGI. I mean, there are amazing scenes and they're beautiful, but the story within itself is good enough, and it has withstood the test of time. And that's why Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie ever. Also, Admiral Akbar, one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. It's a trap. Oh, I love that guy. Alright everyone, thank you for watching this video of my top 5 Star Wars movies. Please comment down below what your top 5 Star Wars movies are. I'm actually really curious to see. Or just comment what your favorite Star Wars movie is. Or if you like all of them, just comment down all of them. Anyway, just smash that like button. Click that notification bell so you can know when I'm posting new content. Alright everyone, this is Story Studios, and I will see you all in the next video.